Register now.
Hello students, welcome to today's session. This is Shweta Roy, your English master teacher at Vedantu. Today we will be starting with a topic which is basically, taken because of popular interest, right? Popular demand. So this is the topic on popular demand, that is figure of speech or poetic devices, right? So we will be doing several types of figures of speech along with examples. I have already done few figures of speech in another video, so please check that video out. That video is already there. So leaving apart those figures of speech which has already been completed in the previous video, in this video we will be talking about the other parts, other poetic devices, right? So let us start off with the definition of a figure of speech. So what is a figure of speech? It is a word or phrase using figurative language. Figure of speech meaning figurative language. What is figurative language? Which has the other meaning rather than the normal definition. So it's not, not straightforward meaning but symbolic meaning, right? That is what is the meaning of figurative language. So in other words, figures of speech rely on implied or suggested meaning rather than a dictionary definition, right? So it's not dictionary definition. What is it? It is implied or suggested meaning or the inner meaning. Okay, so let us move towards the types and few examples of the most important figures of speech. And these figures of speech has not been covered in the other video which I had already uploaded. Please check the other video as well, right? Okay, so what do you think? Now, my question to you is, why do we have to know about these figures of speech? What is the importance of these figures of speech? Do let me know in the chat box right now. What do you think is the importance of figure of speech? Okay, so we will get back to you after I complete with the types. Okay, so first type is anaphora. All right, now what is anaphora? Anaphora is a technique or a figure of speech or a poetic device, as you may call it, where several phrases begin with the same word or words. You have actually come across several examples of anaphora in your poems that you have read, which is a part of your syllabus, right? So uh, first example is I came, I saw, I conquered. That is by Julius Caesar. That is taken from Julius Caesar by our favorite Shakespeare. So see, I came, this I has been repeated, right? So what is this? Anaphora. Next is mad world, mad kings, mad composition. This is also taken from Shakespeare, King John II. Okay, mad world. So mad, the word mad has been repeated, and this is a technique where several phrases begin with same word. So see, mad world, this is the first phrase, mad world, beginning with mad. Next, mad kings, the second phrase, again beginning with the same word. So that is anaphora. Next is we shall not flag or fail, we shall go go on to the end, we shall never surrender. So we shall. This is from a speech by Winston Churchill. Now I would give you a homework from here. Now what is your homework is find out two examples, okay? Two examples of anaphora, okay, from your syllabus. From your syllabus as in from the text which is included in your syllabus. Okay, this is your homework, right? I am sure you would be able to do that right now. Find out two examples and do comment this on the comment section, right? Okay, next is euphemism. Now, what is euphemism? You must have come across this word, but you must be confused or you have never actually tried to find out what is the meaning of euphemism. Now, euphemism is a mild, indirect, or vague term that substitutes. Substitutes means takes the place of, replaces. Okay, substitute means replace. You have done substitutional reaction, right, in your chemistry, I guess, if you remember. So that is what do you do? That is replacement reaction, I think. I'm not very good, but yes, I remember that. So, or substitution method is there in maths as well, if I remember correctly, right? Algebra में था, है ना? So what do? You substitute the term, you replace the term. तो यहाँ पे भी same है. Euphemism क्या है? What is it? माइल्ड और इनडायरेक्ट और वेग टर्म. माइल्ड टर्म थोड़ा उसको मेलो डाउन करने के लिए, whenever we use a harsh or blunt or offensive term, उसको मेलो डाउन करने के लिए we sometimes refer to a milder term और indirect way में बोलने के लिए. Let me show you some examples. A little thin on the top instead of going bald. तो अगर कोई if there is some person who is going bald, okay, so instead of directly, it might sound very offensive, right? So that is why थोड़ा सा उसको mellow down करने के लिए, so that the other person doesn't feel bad, what do you say? तो ये बहुत काम आएगा, है ना? डे टू डे स्पीच में भी बहुत काम आएगा. If you want to imply that you are going bald, don't directly say that you are going bald. What should you say? A thin crust. There is a little thin on top. Okay, so that is how you can express without making that person offensive. Okay, now fell off the back of a truck instead of stolen. Constructive, right? Okay, so very creative. Fell off the back of a truck instead of stolen. तो directly stolen बोल करके offend नहीं करके, what do we say? Fell off the back of a truck. Letting you go instead of firing you. So let's say a company is going to fire one of the employees. Then what is he or she going to say? I'm letting you go instead of I'm firing you. ठीक है, वो थोड़ा बुरा लगता है. It hurts, right? Okay, next is, this is very commonly used. All of you must be aware of. Instead of saying my near and dear one, anyone of your from your near and dear ones, I mean, कोई भी हो सकता है, he died. Instead of that, what do you say? He passed away or she passed away. Another one is also very interesting. That is liar. Liar, you are a liar. Instead of just saying directly, what do we say? Economical with the truth. Interesting, right? So now try and use these, euphemisms and make sentences out of them. You will really enjoy. Right. Next is, चलो next जाने से पहले important announcement बच्चा. The problems that you face in education, doubts, so many doubts you are piled up with nobody to solve your doubts. Notes है ही नहीं, unavailability of notes, test and assignments maybe problem है, competitive exams, choice of schedule, choice of language. So do you face problems in all these areas? Yes or no? Do let me know in the chat box अभी. तो इसका सोल्यूशन क्या है? डोंट वरी, सिर्फ प्रॉब्लम ही डिस्कस नहीं करेंगे, हम सोल्यूशन भी लेकर के आए हैं. सो व्हाट इज द सोल्यूशन? डाउट्स. जितने भी डाउट्स है, वी आर ऑल गोइंग टू सॉल्व योर डाउट्स with the help of our entire team of class teacher live in class. So live in class, you can interact with your class teachers and get your doubts solved, and along with the master teachers, of course, right? So next we have notes after each and every session, assignment after each and every session. We take care of various competitive exams and all this in your choice of schedule and your choice of language. And apart from that, we also conduct tests and we also give you the progress report or performance report of that test. उससे क्या होगा? You will be able to understand where you stand, कितना और मेहनत करना है, how much effort you need to put. Apart from that, we have some amazing bonus features like micro course, crash course. Micro course is what? Chapter wise course. ठीक है, so chapter wise course आपको देखना है. If you have any problem in any chapter, you can avail the micro course of that chapter. Crash course is also there to make you exam ready. Performance report already mentioned. Personalized attention, which is not there in YouTube always, that is possible in our classes, guys, where you can interact with your teachers live and get all your core queries solved. So what you need to do is just visit this link in the description box and pin comment. Choose your grade, choose your board, check out the details, click on get subscription. There are 3 types of subscription. Whatever you are comfortable in, आप वो select कर लो, ठीक है? And but do not forget to use the coupon code SWREPRO. So please do not forget to use the coupon code, because this is going to give you 20% discount, guys. All right. So now we will come to the next, topic, next figure of speech, which will require your attention, because this is little bit confusing. Metonymy and synecdoche, both are similar. Okay, both are, the terms metonymy and synecdoche refer to two similar figures of speech used as rhetorical devices. So it might lead to some confusion. So please listen to it very carefully. First is synecdoche. Synecdoche is used as a part of something used to refer, when a part of something is used to refer to the whole. Okay, part for a whole or whole for the part. Both comes under synecdoche. Metonymy is when something is used to represent something related to it. Quite similar, right? But there is a difference. Now, when we will be seeing the example, we will be clearing our confusion. So, example of synecdoche. When we say all hands on deck. I think you have heard about this phrase, all hands on deck. Now, what do we mean by hands here? What do we mean by hands here? Here, hands means workers, right? But what are we using? We are using part for a whole. We are not saying, instead of saying workers completely, what we are using? Only the hands. So we are just using a part of the entire worker, of the entire body of the worker, right? And so that is what it's referring to, a part. Okay, right? Clear? Next we have metonymy. Now what is metonymy? As I told you, when we represent something related to it. For example, see, crown to represent king or queen. So we often use the word crown instead of directly writing king or queen, right? Isn't it? Most often we use this. So that is metonymy. Okay. Another example of metonymy is, I had to read Hemingway for a class. Note this. I had to read Hemingway for a class. What do you mean? Hemingway here refers to what? The work by Hemingway. Right? The work by Hemingway. That means it is referring to something related to Hemingway. So, when something is used to represent something related to it, that is metonymy. I know this is a bit confusing, but it's not that very difficult. Okay, so you will actually find a lot of examples from, if those of you who are from ICSE, we will find a lot of examples of metonymy, synecdoche from the poem called, there's a poem, right, based on tree, Heart of the Tree, yes. So there are a few examples, so please go through Heart of the Tree, okay, and find out the examples of metonymy and synecdoche, okay. This is your homework. Right? Even if you are not from ICSE, guys, even if you are from CBSE, I have already taken 2 sessions, I guess, on Heart of the Tree. I've already discussed. So please do find out the metonymy and synecdoche from that. Okay. Moving ahead is another very interesting, poetic device called pun. Very interesting. Look at this. A pun is a joke based on the interplay of homophones. What are homophones? Words with the same pronunciation with different meanings. Okay. It is pronounced same, but they are of different meanings, right? For example, and it produces humor. Example, the tallest building in town is the library. It has thousands of stories. Okay, stories. So where is the pun? It's in the word stories. Because stories, see, It's a homophone having two meanings. What is that? What are the two meanings? One, storybooks. So when you are referring to library, you mean stories, storybooks, right? But when you are referring to the tallest building, building has what? Building has stories. That is floors. It's two-storied building, three-storied building. So these are what? Stories, floors. So there is a pun on the difference between stories in books and stories in a building. That is pun. Next is, yes, the leopard changes its spot whenever it goes from one spot to another. Where is the pun? It's in the word spot. So here, spot means the spots on the body of leopard, and the next spot, the next spot means from one place to another. That spot. It's a tourist spot. That spot, right? So this is quite interesting. All right. I hope you enjoyed pun, and actually we use a lot of pun in our day-to-day conversations as well, or even if we read various literary works, there are a lot of puns. Okay, where humorous pieces of work has, they have a lot of puns. Okay, so next is apostrophe. Apostrophe is also very important, and most of the many of the poems that you have read in class ninth maybe or 10th, I think there was a poem in class ninth which had apostrophe. So please quickly find out, this is again your homework, find out the meaning and find out examples of apostrophe from your text. Okay, from your syllabus or text, whatever it is. It could be from ninth, it could be from grade 10th, or ICSE, CBSE, from anywhere. Okay, whatever you have come across. Right. Now, what is apostrophe? When the speaker addresses some inanimate things or ideas, abstract ideas directly. For example, oh death, where is thy sting? Okay, so where whom is the poet addressing? Death. That is what? That is an abstract idea, right? Oh world, oh life, oh time. Again, these are inanimate, right? And then twinkle twinkle, this is the best best example. Twinkle twinkle little star, how I wonder what you are. Again, it is addressing the star, right? Stars. So these are few examples of apostrophe. I guess you have understood what apostrophe is. Now your duty is to find out examples of apostrophe from your syllabus. Moving ahead. Before moving further, guys, a small announcement about Vedantu Master Scholarship Admission Test. 3 p.m. Every Sunday, 25th October to 29th November, from grade 6 to 13th. And you can win scholarship worth 100 crores. So here we have the best results from online classes. So I'm really proud to announce that, and this is our target, guys. This is our target. Okay. So if they can, then we also can, right? All right, so these are our motivations, right? Kone kone se top result आएगा, right? Okay. Next is inversion. Inversion meaning ulta. Okay. Inversion meaning change of usual orders for emphasis of special effect. Okay. Inversion meaning inverted. Inverted image. I think you have done that in physics, right? Inverted image. What is that? Ulta, right? Just inverted. So similarly, in English also you have this figure of speech called inversion, where we talk about the change of usual order of words for the sake of emphasis. So let us see how is that possible. Look at the first example. Much have I traveled in the realm of gold. Okay, much have I traveled in the realm of gold. Don't you think there is an inversion in the order of words? It should have been, I have traveled much in the realm of golds, right? I have traveled much in the realm of golds. That should be the correct order, but it has been inverted. Why? For special emphasis. Come I may, but go I must. This is from a very famous poem, Ulysses, right? Come I may, but go I must. So it should have been, the normal order would have been, I may come, but I must go, right? So it has been inverted. Silver and gold have I none. Again, an example of inversion, right? Moving ahead is the next one, which is climax. Now, climax is, it's like a ladder, okay? So, it raises the sense by successive steps. That means it, it's placed in the ascending order of importance from small to big. Okay, what is a climax. When you sit in the movie theater, you wait for the climax, right? So climax is the peak. So how do you go to that peak of action? You climb steps. So basically there is the setting, then character, then there is the rise of action, action rises, and finally you reach to the step where there is the peak or the climax. Similarly, here also in this figure of speech, there is the words lead to a climax. Okay, for example, see, I came, I saw, I conquered. So conquered, there is a climax. So that's the peak, right? We planned, we labored, we succeeded. So see, it's like a step, right? Successive steps. Similarly, so just opposite to the climax, we have anticlimax. So climax meant what? From lower to higher, ascending order. Anticlimax is from higher to lower, that is descending order. And you will see that there is also laughter in it. Let's see how. He lost his wife, his son, his daughter, and his pet. So, as in descending order, I should not say that. I mean, this is actually not a very good example because all are important here. If you lose your wife, it's similar to losing your son. I mean, it's not an order of importance. But, anyways, next one. The woman said, I do have a prestigious husband and a pair of shoes. This is a very good example. See, prestigious husband, okay, so top. And then what is it compared with? A pair of shoes. So absolutely going down from top to quickly going down. That is anticlimax, right? I have a, so maybe you can say I lost my, I lost my son and my purse. So again, son compared with purse. So importance, just what is descending order of importance, right? So that is anticlimax. Moving ahead with the next one, that is paradox. Paradox also is very important because we most of the time we have heard this word called paradox, but we never try to find out what is the meaning of this word. Okay, so basically it is a statement which appears to be contradictory, but it has an inner significance. For example, failures are the pillars of success. So how can failure lead to success? It is quite contradictory, but what is it? It is having a deeper meaning. Next is, there is plenty in poverty. Again, how can there be plenty in poverty? Again, there is a question mark. There is a contradiction in the statement. But again, if you think about it deeply, you will find its significance. Lose like a champion. Again, if you are a champion, how can you lose? But definitely there is an inner meaning, right? So paradox is important. We use a lot of paradoxes in the literature, in literary, works, or in day-to-day conversation as well. Moving ahead with the next one, allusion. So allusion, actually I have found out two examples of allusion from your text itself, right? So allusion is basically a brief and indirect reference to a person, place, thing, or idea of historical, cultural, literary, or political significance. Okay, so basically whatever is famous in history, culture, literature, that is when you refer to it indirectly, that is allusion. Okay, it does not describe in detail about the person or the thing which has been referred to, but it is just there is just a passing comment. Okay, there is just a passing comment, and the writer expects the reader to possess enough knowledge to spot the allusion. For example, when we are talking about the poem Amanda, There is a languid emerald sea where the sole inhabitant is me, a mermaid. So, mermaid. This is an allusion. It's alluding to mermaid. So it's not describing what is mermaid all about. The writer assumes that we already know what is mermaid, right? So it's just making a passing comment. But of course, mermaid has a, it's a reference to a, it's referring to something which is famous in history and culture, right? Jalpari, everyone knows that. Next is Rapunzel, again referring to the famous fairy tale Rapunzel, the character in the fairy tale Rapunzel, right? Okay. Next is poetic license, which is also very, very, very important for all of you, and you should know what poetic license is. So basically, poetic license is a license or liberty. License, the word license means what? Liberty. When you have a driving license, that means you have the liberty to drive, right? So this license is it's taken by a poet or prose writer or any artist in deviating from the rule, okay? Or the conventional form, logic or fact, because poetry, prose, art, they are all based on imagination, right? So the poets have the liberty to deviate from the rule, maybe spelling rule, to create the desired effect to match the rhythm of the poem. For example, when you talk about the poem in your syllabus, Tale of Custard Dragon, right? What is the poetic license? What is the example of poetic license used there? Trulio, realio, trulio. So, do you find any word called realio in the dictionary? It's not there. Trulio? No, it's not there. So, what does it mean? Real and true. These are the words which we find, right? But the author the poet takes the liberty to actually deviate the spelling to produce a desired effect. Next one is ascendaton. Ascendaton is a Greek word which means unconnected. Now I'm not going into this definition. You can definitely read it from the slide. I would just explain you in a very brief and very simple manner what is ascendaton. Very simply put, whenever you see there is the absence of the conjunction, then you will see that there is a need of conjunction, but they have purposely, removed the conjunction. For example, I came, I saw, I conquered. So it should have been I came, then I saw, and then I conquered, right? So they have removed the conjunction. Okay. And then call up a father, rouse him, make after him, poison his delight, proclaim him in the street, all stated at one length without any use of conjunction. Okay. So it means unconnected, right? So basically, elimination of conjunction. That is what you need to remember. Elimination of conjunction. Just opposite to ascendaton is polysyndeton. What is polysyndeton? Using too many conjunctions. Okay. So that means, see, conjunctions in close succession. Okay. For example, first the air is blue and then it is bluer and then green and then black and black. I am blacking out and yet my mask is powerful. So see, and so many times, conjunctions in close succession. Okay, this is from your ICSC. This poem has been removed. The caged bird sings. That poem. This is taken from that poem. Okay, so here we can see the conjunctions used in close succession. Moving ahead, now most of the students have asked me, ma'am, what is the difference between alliteration, consonants, assonance? So most of you get confused between these three. So here I am today I'm just going to talk about the difference between alliteration, consonants, assonance. Please listen to it very carefully. Alliteration is the repetition of consonant sound. Consonance is also repetition of consonant sound. But where is the difference? The difference is, alliteration has the repetition happening in the initial syllables, whereas consonance has the repetition happening anywhere. It can have the repetition happening anywhere. And assonance is simple. It is dealing with the vowel sounds. Okay, got it? Example, look at the example. Alliteration. Roy ran in the raging rain. Where is the alliteration? Where is the repetition happening? Repetition is happening in the initial syllable, and repetition of consonant sound is happening, right? So this is an example of alliteration. I slipped slyly into the slow slippery sled. Again, you see sir repeated in the initial syllable. Her brown braid brushed the bridge of her brow. Again, br. Okay, consonants repeated in the initial syllable. Talking about consonants, first let me distinguish alliteration and consonants because both are dealing with consonant sounds. So here also it's similar to alliteration, but what is the difference? Alliteration is occurring at the beginning, but here it can occur anywhere. Consonant sounds can be repeated at the middle or end of the word. Example, the lock stuck quickly. So see, lock stuck quickly. Where is the repetition happening? At the end. Okay, Mark locksmith. Okay, Laura called to tell me. So called, Laura, tell, Lila, ill. L sound repeated, but not necessarily in the beginning. Somewhere it is beginning, somewhere it is in the middle, somewhere it's in the end. Okay, Reddy growled Rory's older brother from the river raft. See again, it's happening not exactly at the first syllable. It can happen anywhere. All right, talking about assonance. Assonance is also known as vowel rhyme. Okay, so this is dealing with vowel letters. So this you can definitely distinguish from consonants and alliteration. Water falls across the autumn rock. So this also can happen anywhere, but this deals with consonant sounds. The green field gleams in the water of sunbeams. So see, it's dealing with the vowel sound. Row more slowly, bellowed the old bony crone. Bellowed the old bony crone. So here also you can see the vowel sounds being repeated. Okay, guys, so that was all from my end. So do not forget to visit the link in the description box. Choose your grade, choose your board, check out the details, click on get subscription. We have 3 types of subscription. Do not forget to apply the coupon code which is going to give you the 20% discount. It's SWREPRO. And thank you so much for watching. I hope this video helps, right? Because you had too many confusions about figures of speech and most of you were asking me for a video on poetic devices. So I think now it's fine with you. Do not forget to post your answers for the homework question. I will be taking your answer for the next session, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and if you haven't yet subscribed, do subscribe to this channel. What are you waiting for? And do hit the like button. Take care. Bye-bye. See you in the next session.